So let's try this again. Simplify the square root of 525 times x to the 4th power times y to the 5th times z to the 5th. Okay, so one thing that that we talk about, okay, if you take the square root of x squared, it's going to equal to x. You all agree? If you take the square root of x to the 4, what does it give you? X squared. Okay, hopefully now we see the patterns. Well, what happened if I take the square root of x to the 6? What do you think is going to give me? X to the 3rd. Good. And what happened if I take the square root of x to the 8? X to the 4th. Okay. Everybody see that okay? Because the square root is mean when you rewrite it, it is 1/2. So 1/2 times 2 is 1. 1/2 times 4 is 2. 1/2 times 6 is 3. 1/2 times 8 is 4. Because power to power you multiply. So if you take 8 times a half, it gives you 4. If you take 6 times a half, it gives you 3. Okay? You see that pattern so far. And then from there, we can make a connection. Okay, well, if that's the case, then what is the square root of x to the 3rd? It has to have a what in there? You have to have an x, but what's the leftover? Square root of x. Then what's going to happen if you take the square root of x to the 5th? What would it give you? X squared times square root of x. There you go. And what happens if you take the square root of x to the 7th? X to the 3rd times square root of x. Yes. You need to speak louder. I can't hear you. That's x to the 3rd. That's a 3. No, what you think? I go x squared, x 3rd, x 4, x 5th. Okay. If you can understand that, then whatever go in under that radical, it won't matter. Okay. So if I say right now, what's x to the 100? What's the square root of x to the 100? X to the 50 power. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go ahead. Wow, it's already 3 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and break down this problem. I'm going to break it down to the square root of 525 times the square root of x to the 4th times the square root of y to the 5th times the square root of z to the 5th. Okay? Now, you don't have to use a calculator if you don't want to, but if you have a calculator in front of you, that would be great. It's kind of help you kind of like, speed things up a little bit. If I take 525, well, 525 is a big number, so I kind of don't know what number it goes into yet, but we know that the last digit is a 5, so it should be divisible to what? To 5. So if you take 525, again, this is me just trying it out to see what number is the best number. If I take 525 divided by 5, it gives me 105. And you're like, okay, hold on. If 525 is divisible by 5, because the ending is a 5, then 105 should also divisible by what? By 5 again. So if I take 105, I divide it by 5 again, it gave me 21. But where did the 21 come from? It comes from 525 divided by 5 divided by 5 again. So how many times do you divide it by 5? 2. It means 5 squared. It means 5 times 5. So, okay, let's go back and reconfirm. 525 divided by 25. Let's see, it's going to give me 21. The answer is yes. So I think the best factor to break down the 525 is 25 and 21, because 25 is a perfect square. All right, so I'm going to break this down to 525, the square root of 525, break it down to the square root of 25 times the square root of what? 21. Good. Jenna, you're not paying attention up here, Jenna. Okay. And then we already know what x, the square root of x to the fourth is. What is it? X to the second power. Good. All right. What about z to the fifth? What is square root of z to the fifth? I'm sorry, the y first. Let's go with the y first. Y to the second power times the square root of y. There you go. And what about z to the fifth? Z to the second times square root of z. Okay? So now it is time for us. Now it's time for us to go ahead and put it together. So you can see I went from a z to an x because these two was distracting me. As a teacher, I'm up here. I know what I'm doing, and I still get distractions. Now just imagine if the stuff is new to you, and if you don't give me like at least 75% of your focus, your attention, you're not going to get there. You're not going to be on the same page with me. Does that make sense? To prove a point to you? Yes, ma'am. Okay, I don't want to hear it now. Okay. What is the square root of 25? 5. So we're going to bring down the 5. I'm going to bring down the x squared. I'm going to bring down the y squared. I'm going to bring down the z squared. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring down the term with the square root. What's the first one? I see your hand. Please wait. Square root of 21. Square root of y. But I'm not going to rewrite the square root. I'm going to put everything under that big square root. And then square root of z. And that will be my final answer. Okay? Yeah, square root of z.